Greetings, peace, and blessings, everyone. Welcome to another conversation of self-improvement with your sister, Yatira X, the First Lady of Our Money Network. And as you see, today's topic is humility. This was inspired actually because last night was Friday. Peace and blessings, my beautiful sister Felicia. How are you this morning? I hope that you are doing well. I know you're doing well because you keep up with us on Facebook, and you're always posting, the positive morning, about starting your morning right, basically, and just having a good day. And you're always, posting that kind of energy out there for people. So thank you. That's what it's about. I love it. I love it to encourage people to be more positive and to be intentional on their days early in the morning, seeing that. Because people do that. They go straight to social media first thing in the morning. And, but that's cool. If you are getting positive messages, people go to different places to get their positive affirmations or to be inspired. So the fact that I know that if I go to Sister Felicia's page, she's posting positivity and she's encouraging us to have, good days and be intentional about it. So thank you, sis, for what you do. So right after study group, how was study group for you, sis? I know that you were attending as well. So it was great. I had the babies there with me, and I had y'all. I don't think some of y'all know of my 6-year-old, Kamalia, and she answered some of their questions last night for study group, and they were just like, "How old is she?" And I was like, "She's 6." And they just, they really enjoyed her feedback to, the questions that we were discussing yesterday. So that was really awesome. And, that's our self-improvement class that we have every week on Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time that you all can attend wherever you are, locally at your local mosque, but you can also just attend online via Zoom. And that's what we did last night. And so it was just a really, really, really good discussion. And I actually pulled up some of that stuff because in talking about humility, some of the things that we went over last night and some of the questions that were raised in our group, rather, is, just some of the conversation that I wanted to contribute and bring here. And I wanted to start it though with this. Okay, so after study group, I was talking to my sister. And in our conversation, she was telling me some things that, from her perspective about, me. And as I was listening to her, I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. When we got off the phone, though, I sat back, I was like, and I started thinking, I'm like, is what she's saying true? Do I just not see it? So I just went to go through the motions of thinking about, myself and trying to analyze my emotions about things. And then she called back because we got disconnected, and she asked me, she's like, do you think about, the things that, I'm saying to you, or do you just say no? Or do you think about it? I was like, no, I think about it, She's like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, yeah, because I'm thinking about what you were saying to me, because we were sharing things about each other, how we viewed each other as it relates to different subjects. And so she was like, yeah, me too. I'm thinking about what you're saying about me. And so I thought that was it was really cool to have that kind of a conversation with my sister. But what it brought to my mind this morning, because I didn't know what we were going to be talking about this morning. Thank you, sis. I feed off real talk. So of course I loved it. Oh, awesome. I love that. Praise be to Allah. That's awesome. It was just so good, right? And there's so many different circles. So, all of the conversations, even though we're all reading, in terms of the study group she's talking about, even though we're reading the same thing, God puts on us in different things to say. So it's just so beautiful to be having these different ciphers of conversations with each other. It really is beautiful. So yeah, it wasn't until this morning that I said, oh, humility is the topic today. And that's why I had that experience the night before, because learning to be humble is, let me see, I brought the 2 books, because I wasn't sure which ones, these are self-improvement books, volume 1 and volume 2. And I think humility is in volume 2. I think. Humility. It is. All right. Study Guide 15, the characteristic of humility. And that's on page 93. So let's hop over there. because this is something that I am still growing in, and I want perfection. I want to master it, but the reality is I am not there yet. So it tells us what to read out of the Holy Quran, the B, Surah 16, the B, Surah 40, the Believer, and Surah 25, the Discrimination, and out of the Bible, Mark 9, 33 through 37, the lesson Humility, the Secret of Greatness. So I didn't bring, I have the Quran in here, but I didn't bring the Bible in here. So I'm not going to go through those parts today. I just wanted to, are they already in here? Oh no, these are just different references. Okay. Successful indeed are the believers who are humble in their prayers and who shun what is vain. I love it. I love it. Humility. Okay, so this is one of the definitions. Humility is the quality or condition of being humble. One who is humble is modest, unpretentious, unassuming, and submissive. At the core of his thinking, the humble man does not think grand things of himself that exalt him above others. It is not a feeling that he is undeserving, but it is a quality that a leader must have to lift up the weight of the people. Wow, that's powerful. I got to read that sentence again because that spoke to me. It is not a feeling that he is undeserving, but it is a quality that a leader must have to lift up the weight of the people. Oh, the power of strength is in placing it under the weight. The leader cannot pull the people from above. The leader must get under and lift them up. The idea of humility is that it is the opposite of pride. We must all, particularly those who are leaders, become more and more humble. And I'm going to read these two scriptures from the Bible. This is Philippians 2, verses 3 through 9. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind. Let each esteem others better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who made himself of no reputation and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in a fashion a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him. Wow, beautiful, beautiful. One more. Colossians 3, 12 through 14. Right? Peace and assalamu alaikum, brother Dwayne. Put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, tender mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. Wow. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. And above all things, put on love, which is the bond of perfectness. We talking about humility, bro. And this is a quality that, now, I read that part and it was talking about the leaders, right? And for me, that sticks out to me a lot, because while the goal or the intention is not to wake up for me every day and say, oh, I want to be a leader of men. I want to be a leader. I want to be in front of people. No, but it's the willingness to serve, and that's just the fact of the matter. When you're willing to do, you know what I'm saying? When you're willing to serve God, when you're willing to do what needs to be done, when you're willing to do what others are not willing to do, in this world, this is what you become. You become a leader, but in truth, you're a servant, right? But in this concept, being a leader, because this is how it's written here, a leader is being talked about in lifting people up. And that's something that I desire to do. Remember, my backstory, little 9-year-old girl saying, I'm going to be like Martin Luther King Jr. when I grow up. because of, just like I said, not even knowing the depth of his story and what all he did, and just from the little videos that we've seen in school, and how he was willing to fight, and how he was willing to suffer, and how he was willing to go through these hardships, seeing that, that was character. And that was something that I wanted to be able to do, to stand up for what's right, regardless of whom, regardless of what, and etc. And so today also in the Holy Quran, the part that I opened up to after prayer and that I wanted to read is chapter 15, The Rock, section 3, the devil's opposition to the righteous. All right, so it says here, and surely we created man of sounding clay, of black mud fashioned into shape, and the jinn we created before of intensely hot fire. And when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a mortal of sounding clay, of black mud fashioned into shape. So when I have made him complete and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down making obeisance to him. So the angels made obeisance, all of them together, but Iblis did it not, as Satan. He refused to be with those who made obeisance. He said, O Iblis, what is the reason that thou art not with those who make obeisance? He said, I am not going to make obeisance to a mortal, whom thou hast created of sounding clay, of black mud fashioned into shape. He said, then go forth, for surely thou art driven away, and surely on thee is a curse till the day of judgment. He said, my Lord, respite me till the time when they are raised. He said, surely thou art of the respited ones, till the period of the time made known. He said, my Lord, as thou hast judged me erring, I shall certainly make evil fair seeming to them on earth, and I shall cause them all to deviate, except thy servants from among them, the purified ones. He said, this is a right way with me. As regards my servants, thou hast no authority over them, except such of the deviators as follow thee. And surely hell is the promised place for them all. It has 7 gates, for each gate is an appointed portion of them. Right. So in reading this, and why I wanted to go into it was because, let me read what you said, sis. No, you don't. And that's what I love about you. Your spirit shows, so you don't even have to do anything because you told your story. Oh, thank you so much, Sister Felicia. And that's what, and I'm glad that you're saying that, because this is what, again, it helps me. It helps me to keep the main thing, right? Which is self, And so even though I give it from my perspective, and sometimes I talk about other things, my focus point is always about me, even on these live streams. It's just about me and being a better person, in being a better person in front of other people, so that other people can be better people to themselves too, and in front of other people as well. And then we just keep that going, pay it forward, pay it forward, pay it forward. Then we find ourselves just all being better people all around, But this part was just so, it was what I opened to and what I read. And it's about, for me, Satan not being humble. This is the, he is the embodiment of the exact opposite. And he's saying, I'm not going to make obeisance to what I see you making that's less than me. You know what I'm saying? He's saying here, you're making you're fashioning a person, and here I am made of fire, and you making him out of, clay. And I remember the minister talked about this, the dust aspect, how dust can put out fire, right? But in our ignorance, in our pride, we miss God, because here Iblis is saying, so God has given a command, everybody bow down to this, this man that I'm making, or that I'm fashioning. And Iblis says, I'm not bowing down. I'm not bowing down to that. While Iblis is thinking that he is, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamar. Thank you for tuning in this morning. While Satan is saying, I am not going to submit to this individual that you're telling me to bow down to, what he's really doing is not submitting to God, because God is telling you to do it. But you're saying, no, this is my stature. This is who I am. This is the elevation that I have. And I'm not going to stoop down that low to bow down to somebody of that. And so when we look at that just in our day-to-day lives, that's like me as a mother. If my child comes to me and tells me that I was in error about something, am I going to say, I'm the mother, you don't get to tell me that I was wrong? Or if I was wrong, so what? I'm the mother. Want. Where is the humility then? No, if she comes and she tells me something, or any of my children, or, anyone, but in this case, because you have these hierarchies, so to speak, how do we treat our children when they come and tell us things? And so I find myself apologizing a lot, because she's right. When she's right about something, well, mommy, I didn't understand this, and, or you told me this, but you didn't say it like this, or however, you're right. And I apologize. And that's something that now I have to make sure that I do better, so I don't repeat, these different cycles, or I don't repeat the mistake that I made. And so the humility factor for me is just huge, because it's, my goodness, I think about the minister and how he explains in different scenarios, as Muslims, we greet each other sometimes, and sometimes we do this bowing motion. You see it in the Asian culture as well. It's, this bowing motion. And when he has talked about receiving praise from people, why we just say all praise is due to God, because that's where the praise belongs. And that is a form of us bowing out of the way. In us bowing, it's like we are throwing the praise back to where it belongs. You're saying a kind word to me, but I'm like, oh, praise, let it go over me. Bow down in humility. Let me be humble. Because God is the one who's guiding me. God is the one who, fashioned my heart to be what it is. He's guiding me on this journey. He put you in front of my face. He's allowing me to meet people. Praise be to God. Let him get the praise, because of myself, I can do nothing. Right? I wouldn't have nothing. I would have not a thing to come on here, on Instagram, on Facebook, on any of my social media platforms to say to anyone if it was not for the grace of God. And that's just real, because I could have got on here, years ago and just been talking about outright foolishness. My sister said, me too, sis, but my 8-year-old, she's going to make you understand her why. Oh, see? Okay, then. She take after you. That's love, that understanding part, being able to communicate that. That's powerful. And I think that that's so remarkable that these young children, 8 years old, that is beautiful. That these babies are, in this day and time, able to communicate like this. Because I wasn't. I was not a big communicator growing up. There's conversations that I find myself having with my mom now. I'm 29 years old, and I'm like, Mom, why? Why did this happen? I didn't like when this happened, or whatever the case may be, but it's just that I wasn't able to articulate these things. But that's why communication is so important to me, because it's about finding that resolve within self and being able to think through our emotions. And so I do that with my daughter, and these are things that I will do with babies as they continue to grow, but learning to go through the emotions, and especially with the babies, because I think that as adults, sometimes, generally speaking, people forget that they are little humans, like they are little people with real feelings, with real emotions. And so as adults, if we haven't mastered our emotions, then how do we handle these little children who don't know much about them? They feel things, they get hurt, they get disappointed, they feel things, and it's not fair for us to make them just be like robots. Stop this, don't. I think about the terminology that we say in our community sometimes. Fix your face, right? And I found myself changing that, where it's not about fixing your face, but let's talk about the thinking and the thoughts and the emotions that's going on. Let's talk about that, because the face is only reflecting something that's being thought about or a feeling that's there. But if I just learn, and this is how these things grow to be problematic as we get older, because now you just learn how to fix your face. What does that mean? That just means that I was looking rough, or I was looking upset, or I was looking like this. You tell me to fix my face, and now I have to fake the funk. Now I have to put on a smile, or now I have to act like everything is all right, even though I'm hurting inside. And so the other day I made that live stream talking about how women are around here saying, you know, I'm smiling, but I'm really breaking down on the inside, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to do this. No, but this is a cycle that we've been told. You know, this is something, and it didn't start with fix your face. It started 400 years ago. But the point is that at what point do we make the necessary changes? So humility is part of that. Humility is part of that, because it takes us to acknowledge sometimes what happened to us. In seeing what happened to us, then being humble enough to say, wow, it happened. But I don't have to stay there. I can grow and I can evolve. And the Bible talks about Satan too. Because here it says that I shall certainly, this is Satan talking, I shall certainly make evil fair seeming to them on earth, and I shall cause them all to deviate, except thy servants from among them, the purified ones. And in the Bible, Satan is talking, it said of Satan that he is to deceive, or that he has deceived the whole world. So I was part of that number. He had deceived me in terms of everything. And so now, because of that, see, because he did, I was just thinking about this. I think that was this morning. My days are coming together. But the point that I want to make about the humility side of it is life circumstances, the different teachers, the different educators that we have, the different people that we have known, our minds are in our environments have been shaped to think and be a certain way. So for me, I thought a certain way. But when I came into understanding and knowledge, I was able to say, oh, wow, I view this thing all wrong. And I want to change. I just want things the correct way. And to me, the ability to do that is key, because this is what the Bible tells us. With all thy getting, get understanding. So if we just apply that, and there's a lecture that the minister did back in the 80s, I believe, in the Final Call building in Chicago. And there was a Q&A at the end of the lecture. And I think this is like Problems in Our Relationships on YouTube. I think that's the name of this lecture. I think this is the one. But at the end of the lecture, people are asking questions, and the brother asked a question about, you know, Islam. He asked the question, something along the line. It's been probably over a year since I last listened to it, but so I'm paraphrasing. But he asked the question to the minister. He says, you know, basically, isn't it true that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Islam is going to be the only religion that's accepted at the end, but you're going around to churches and you're talking to people and you're saying, you know, in words that you don't have to convert to Islam. This is the question that is asked to the minister. And his answer is so beautiful, and it is so profound, and it just is. So let's get to what he said. In short, he explained how words obviously matter, and we have to have a proper understanding of what these different things mean. So Islam being the only religion that's accepted in the end, what does Islam mean? If Islam is an Arabic word and you're talking to people who speak English, well, there's a language barrier. So you have to give that. Islam means peace. It's total submission to God. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So when you say it in English, if you say it like this, the only religion that God is going to accept in the end is the religion of peace, of total submission to God. Nobody would disagree with that, right? But it's the language barrier. That was part one of the answer. And then secondly, he goes into the going to different churches. He said, oh, it's about the word. Yeah, let's do churches. I think churches was next anyway. So when he talks about going into churches, it's not about converting people. Because number one, we are taught that we are Muslim by nature. Again, language barrier. What does a Muslim mean? If I say that we're Muslim by nature, I'm saying the definition, a person who submits his or her will to do the will of God. So I am a person who is by nature designed to submit my will to do the will of God by birth. Again, no, that's not a difficult statement, but we're using an Arabic term. It's just a different language. So that's why I've said before here, as a Muslim, I too am a Christian, because these are terms that we should understand what they mean. I am also a Jew because of the terms of what they are. So when he was going to the churches and things, he was saying that it's the principles in which we're going to elevate, because while we are born to submit to do the will of God the same way that the sun, it just submits to God. We have been given free will. The sun doesn't have free will. The sun is Muslim. The sun is peace. The sun does what it's supposed to do. It submits to the will of God. Fish are swimming in the water. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Birds are flying in the air. Trees are growing up, providing us the oxygen and taking out the carbon monoxide. They're doing what they're supposed to do. All other creatures and creations are Muslim. They are all submitting and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. If the sun decided, hey, I'm not going to, I'm going to go somewhere else and let y'all hang out here, I'm going to do my own thing, we would be in a terrible condition, right? But these things don't have the ability to do what they want to do. So by circumstance, we have been made other than our own selves. Not a title, but indeed in by action. So when the minister was talking about how he's going, at this time, again, this was in the 80s, going to different churches and speaking to the people, it's about waking up that message and about letting us know and teaching us who we are, because that was not taught to us. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much. And you too. And so when he was talking about that, for me, I was like, wow, I had been viewing things from what I had understood, which wasn't much. I didn't have much understanding. My father was a rabbi, but I was young. I was very young, and I wasn't doing any reading or any studying on this matter, And so when he said that the converting part, we are not converting. We are accepting the fact that we are God's children and that we're choosing to turn and give our will and serve his purpose again, because we have been serving somebody else's purpose, because Satan says that he's going to make them all deviate. So if Satan knows God, if here Satan is having a conversation with God in the Bible, Satan talks to God there too, then my point about them talking is that he knows what's right and what's wrong, and yet the laws are what they are in this day and time. So when we say whose world is this, not whose earth is it, whose world is this? Well, this is not God's world, because the laws that are being upheld are satanic. So we have to then get to the point where we know God too, so we can make the choice. So Satan is an outright opponent of God. Okay, God, he said, because you have judged me. And what did he say? Because you have caused me to be Aaron. What did he say? My Lord, respite me till the time when they are raised. And then God said, surely thou art the respited one, to the period of time made known. And Satan said, my Lord, as thou hast judged me erring, I shall certainly make evil fair seeming to them on earth, and I shall cause them all to deviate. So having this conversation again, for me, it's about the humility for my own self, that I would be willing to correct my wrong. In me being wrong, and if somebody's pointing out my wrong, how I'm doing anything in my life, wow, I was wrong. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. Now I must do better. So I think, humility is one of those subjects, I think, that, it's a broad topic because you can apply it to so many different aspects of life. But I didn't even get to the read, and that's okay. That's okay. I think we've read a lot and talked about a lot, but the reading last night was really good. And it comes out of Study Guide 19, Who is God? So that'll be for another topic another time. But like I said, these are just things that I think about, and because I had that conversation with my sister last night is what really inspired this, because I'm learning to be humble. I don't think that I have mastered that yet. I don't even think I've come close, because I think I need to be in more situations to really test it and see it. But my desire is to be that. I want to be more humble. I want to master humility, because I want to be a perfect servant. The same way that Jesus is a perfect servant, I want to be a perfect servant. And so I know that it can be done if he is an example, and an example is something that we can attain. He's not an unreachable example. That adjective is not used to describe him. He is a perfect example, and what he tells us to do is to follow him. And so that's what I'm striving to do. By following the example, how can I raise the dead? How can I heal people? Well, by submitting to God. And so if he can use a man to do these different things, and God is never changing, well, he can use me in this time too. But I have to be willing to be humble. I have to be willing to serve. I have to be willing to deny myself. I have to be willing to allow him to live within me. So that's all, part of the journey. And again, the goal here for these conversations is for me to just share my story of self-improvement, to inspire others to pick up their cross and to join on this beautiful journey of self-improvement. So thank you all for being with me today. Just a FYI, these videos that I do here on Instagram, I do post them onto my YouTube channel, Speaking Life with Sister Yatira X. So because sometimes you can, the replaying of it is not so simple on Instagram in terms of you have to keep it here, but YouTube, you're able to do other things. So you can listen to the replays on YouTube. I just add them on a daily basis. And I'm going to start adding them on Facebook more, so more people can hear the messages, because I think that they are helpful, and to increase our conversation and other people's experiences, because we're going to be soon coming, my sister and I, we will be here having more conversations together. Thanks as always. Remember, we're humans and we are perfect in our own way. That's how I see it. Praise be to God. You see, I just love your spirit. You just have such a compassionate spirit about yourself, and a loving spirit. So thank you, Sister Felicia. I love you, and I love to see you here with me every day. And so, like I said, you and I look forward to when we have these lives together, because I'm excited to see what God has in store for us, and just the trailblazing path that I can see of him, using the both of us to create together. So I look forward to it. And whenever you're here and the spirit moves you to jump on here with me, you come on here, sis, and you speak with me. I love it. So that's it from us today. Sister Yatira, the First Lady of Fire Money Network, signing off. You all have a wonderful day, and continue to work on yourself so that together we can make the world a better place, one self at a time. Peace.